You know, many people ask me all the time, Eric, do you even create music? I mean, you talk about it all the time, but do you make it? Well, I'm excited today. As you could probably tell, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty pumped. These people who might say this aren't looking in the description, because in the description of every video, I make both my Positive Spin Songs link and the link to my John Eric Copeland composer site, which lists everything that I do, are listed in every video. But today, as I said, is a celebration. The new single from my jazz group Player A, a vocal, cool jazz version of the old pop standard, The Windmills of Your Mind. As I'll say a few times, the link is below, and it would really help if you would especially go to Spotify, if you're a Spotify person. You can listen anywhere. Please listen anywhere. But if you can listen all the way through, maybe even save it to your Spotify, or share it, and or put it in one of your playlists, share it on your socials. All these things can help the single do well. But in today's video, I am going to share how I produced this song, how I released it to streaming, and the drama surrounding that. And get ready for an epic CDBaby versus DistroKid rant battle royale supreme. There's a lot of bad feelings right now with me about one of these. Actually, kind of both, but we'll talk about that. Especially the unique aspects of trying to release a cover song and get it to release right on a date so that I could have it released today while I'm doing this video and talking about it. And then I'm going to talk about the things that I did, the exact things that I did to market the single, including this video. So if you are wondering the best practices to produce and release and market, especially cover songs, if you're ever doing cover songs, but also market your music to streaming, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, all the places, this video is going to be for you. I'm going to explain it all. I'm going to talk to you about how to do all this and give you information on how to produce it, release it, and market your own music. Can streaming be a way to make music income? And what do we need to do it right in 2025? Well, as the song that we're going to talk about today says, like a tunnel that you follow to a tunnel of its own, we're going to talk about producing, releasing, and marketing to Spotify and streaming services, and we're going to talk about it all. Welcome to the Make Music Income Podcast. My name is Eric Copeland, and on this show that we do live every Friday, I talk about the constantly changing world of music income. And one of those incomes is releasing music to streaming, which is our main goal and thrust today of what we're going to be talking about. But we also talk a lot on this channel about music licensing. I'll also be licensing. That's part of the marketing strategy for this song. It's a little different because it's a cover song. We'll talk about that. Music royalties, which I hope to make from the sales of this, from mechanicals of this song. I've made a lot of mechanicals through this particular brand, this jazz brand, through my career, especially over the last 15 years. Maybe 5 figures of music royalties. We talk about being a music composer, arranger, and producer, and I did all of those things. I didn't compose this song, but I did arrange it and produce it. So we're going to talk about how I did that, including the use of AI. Dun, dun, dun. Yes. And some people may not even like the fact that I'm talking about AI, or streaming for that matter.
You disappoint me.
But I'm sorry. I'm still going to talk about it. We also talk about sheet music, which I've been involved in this week, being an artist, which is part of what I'm talking about my artist side today. This is the artist side of Eric Copeland, of the person you know behind these videos. So we're going to be talking about that. And we also talk about any other way to make music income. I do want to tell you that this is sponsored by MakeMusicIncome.com. And let me tell you, there's a reason you're going to want to go there and see some things or check out some things down below. I always offer things for free. You know that we have a lot of things for free for you, and they are there. But today, my friends, it's a music release Sale-abration. That's right. I am going a little crazy with the prices of all the stuff that I have. This is a release weekend. I don't release music that much, and I don't talk about it a lot, but I released a lot of music last year on Spotify and streaming. This year, we're going to do it right, and I'm releasing this song today, and there's going to be some special pricing. First of all, I want to talk about some things that a lot of you might be interested in. Some of you have been wanting to take the Getting in Sync course and how I got into sync from composing songs, music income with sync placements, and TV, film, and advertising. Well, my friends, during this time, it's at a crazy price. It's at the Black Friday price of just $49. So if you've been waiting to get this course, then you're going to want to jump into that and get the Getting in Sync course, the advanced version. And there's more stuff going into this course. I just edited more stuff. And so there's brand new material coming into this course. So you want to pick it up this weekend because this is only going to go for 24 or 48 hours. This is just part of this release celebration. Also, you can get the bundle of both our courses, the stock market course, which talks about how to get into stock music licensing. And there's a whole brand new video that I just did and I've just finished editing that is going into that about what it's like to do stock music in 2025, but also the Getting in Sync course. And you can get them both for $75. That's less than buying each one at $49, which is both a sale. So if you want to get them, get those. And then the last thing is my one-on-one coaching. You want a one-time direction call to kind of find out what's going on. Well, that is on sale too, usually $99 now, just $75. So if you are interested in any of these things, then my friends, you need to jump on these prices this weekend because this will not last forever. So go check those out. I even am giving away sale prices on my Positive Spin Partners program. So if you're interested in that, email me. You know you've been watching these videos. If you're interested in being part of getting your music into sync and working on some of your music with someone who can help you produce it and finish it and pitch it out to libraries, we're getting tons of stuff accepted right now. Make sure you email me at eric@makemusicincome.com. You can also go to positivespinsongs.com to hear what we're doing there and see what me and my partners are up to. And you can see it right there. All right, that's enough of that. It's time now to talk about my week, my pre-release week, something we do on the podcast here every week. This week has been all about preparing for this weekend of releasing this song. And it's on the Player A brand, which is a kind of a jazz site. Doesn't do too bad. It's got over 1,000 monthly listeners, and mainly due to some songs that we've had out for many, many years. But our newest release is the Windmills of Your Mind. Just came out today, celebrating. That's why I have the special prices on everything, celebrating it. But this song, I've just been focusing on all the things, and there's so many things, and that's why I'm doing this video, is because there's just so many things that we have to think about when we're releasing, and we have to do, and we have to make sure that we are crossing all the T's and there's so many things. So I've been prepping for release all week. I've also been working on some piano teaching music. I'm doing some very elementary piano music for beginning piano students. Someone hired me to do this from, I believe it was Upwork. They hired me from Upwork. And so I've started working with this person and we've created 20 songs. I've composed 20 songs already and moving on to more. And some of starts with one hand, goes to two hands. So that's something. Again, it's a form of sheet music income. I'm making sheet music for her and she's putting a book of this stuff together. I have been working on albums of classical beats. That's just about done. An album of Celtic harp. That's just about done. I had a great Zoom with a brand new library. One of my library heroes, my main dudes at BMG. He hooked me up with another library who wants more country. Well, it's not that bad. It's actually going to be fun. I have had a good time doing country music in the past year, but especially contemporary music. But this library is asking, it's almost like a brief for like a certain number of songs. And he's going to give me the exact type of songs he wants, and I'm going to be writing them. So it's literally a brief of 4 country songs that we'll be tracking in Nashville and doing that whole thing. I also bid to a local artist as a producer this week. I talked a lot about music producing last week. If you missed last week's video or any of the videos from last week, this artist came to me through SoundBetter. I've been talking to you about these sites like Upwork and SoundBetter and Fiverr. Well, this job came through my SoundBetter site, and it happens to be someone who is here in town in Orlando. So I am going to, I've put a bid on working on that project. I also released a lyric video, finished and released a lyric video for a country artist I'm working for. There's that country word again. I worked on at least 41 songs, 41 Chopin songs, starting to get them ready and get the MIDI ready and prepare them to go in and really work on and arrange for Motion Array. So, because I'm refilling up my Motion Array, which seems back on track this month after a terrible month last month. I took all my original stuff out of Motion Array and most all non-exclusive stock sites, but I'm refilling them up with lots of public domain stuff because I think that's what people are looking for there. Aphrodite says, wow, that guy on your single does sound a lot like Sting. Nice production on that. The stand-up bass is sharp. I have a story about the stand-up bass. I can't wait to talk about it here in just a minute. And the guy who sings, Ron Hemby, he is from Nashville, and they have a Police and Sting cover band, and it's a pretty killer band of Nashville, session players. But they do only Sting and Police work, and he sounds just like him. This isn't the first time I've done a Sting song with him. We've done a Christmas tune as well that Sting did, and we did that. All right, well, let's get on with the show today. We actually do have some news. Well, the news isn't a big surprise. It is the Windmills of Your Mind, our new single that was released today from Player A. It's my jazz group that's been around quite a while. We've put quite a bit of stuff out through the years, and we've had a big radio hit. This was back in 2011. Was a fairly decent size, top 30 Billboard contemporary jazz. Hit is a little probably too far, but it did happen. And a couple years back, I put out the $Sand in My Suitcase album. This is an album I was going to call Welcome to Florida. You can see there's a song called Welcome to Florida. And I was literally going to put this out, but the year I was going to put it out, the summer, they literally closed Florida. So I couldn't call it that. It was COVID year, and quite literally, I don't use the word literally, anything but literally, and they literally closed Florida. So I had to rename the album $Sand in My Suitcase, very Michael Franks inspired, if you know who that jazz singer is. And we've put out quite a bit of music through the years, including a remix album and a cool remix of Staying Alive, which is another. So we have a history of doing some covers. And so the Windmill of Your Mind is also a cover. It's an old song from the 60s that was redone. It's been redone by every singer in the world, but Sting redid it a few years back as a song for a movie called The Thomas Crown Affair with Pierce Brosnan. And this was over the credits, I think, at the end. And so I fell in love with the sound of it. And when I decided to make my version, I kind of used that. And I want to talk a little bit about how I produced it. We're also going to kind of take a look at and be looking at my notes, which is basically my script for today. And how I finalized and how I planned to do this and how I ended up doing it and what all happened. How was the production process? And basically the production process is I started with the Sting version. And what I did was I brought the Sting version into Logic Pro. And you can see Logic Pro here. This is my actual session. The very first thing I did was I found a version on YouTube of the Windows of Your Mind, the Sting version that we were just talking about. And I downloaded it and I imported it, okay, into Logic. And then what I did was I used the stem splitter, and I only took the vocal and the drum loop. I wasn't interested in any other part. It was just vocals, Sting's vocals, and the drums. And the reason I was going to want Sting's vocals is because I was going to replace those vocals with a singer who sounds a lot like Sting. And if you go listen to the song, and you should go down into the description and listen to the song. I imported it, I stem split it, I kept only the vocal and the drum loop. I found out I kind of put it into my tempo. I changed the tempo a little bit. Then I had a drum loop and Sting singing, okay? And what I did to that was I put a little shaker to it, just a little shaker beat to it. And then this is kind of funny. Bradford Knight says, nice, the stand-up bass is sharp. Well, guess what, my friends, my peeps? The stand-up bass is Trillion total bass module. And that is Eric Copeland playing upright bass. So I do this a lot on my jazz things. What I will do is I will get a beat going and then I will play the upright bass to whatever I'm doing. And then I will send it to drums. And then down here you can see the drums from Brian Fullen, who did the drums. And then he sends me back all the drums. And he got to play drums with Sting singing because we are using the Sting stem. And then I sent it to a piano player and I sent him an email. I said, would you like to play with Sting? And I sent him an email with the drums and the upright bass and the shaker and the drums. At that point, I had probably taken the drum loop out of the original song. But I kept the Sting vocal in so that the piano player could be playing piano, jazz piano, to Sting. And you're probably saying, Eric, I thought you were a piano player. Why aren't you doing the piano? Well, the reason I'm not doing the piano is because it's very jazzy. It's like a kind of jazz that I don't necessarily play. I have my own version of jazz the way I play, you know how you are. It's like if you could play guitar, it doesn't necessarily mean you could play guitar like all your guitar heroes in every genre. And in jazz, even though I play jazz piano, I don't play like this. And I wanted that kind of jazz trio feel for this. So I did the upright bass instead, which kind of, and wrote out the chart, which I don't even have the chart here, but boy, if you could see that chart, it is something, I'm telling you. This song is crazy with all the chord changes. And so then I got the piano, and then at that point, we were done with Sting. We said, Sting, we're done, thank you so much. And we muted Sting. Yes, I muted Sting and then sent that to the vocalist who sussed that out. He worked really hard to get it similar but yet unique to his own style and did the vocal. And then we were ready for mix. And the mix I sent out to a friend of mine, Ronnie Brookshire, who is one of my great engineers in Nashville. And so that is where we go back to the notes here. I did the Sting version, we did the stem splitter, I made the chart, we finally got the vocals done. These are not in order, but we did all these things, and then we get to the mix. And while I could have done the mix, and often do mix a lot of things that I am going to send out to sync or jazz things, I also enjoy and prefer most times handing the mix off. I am a producer, and before that, I am a composer and arranger before I am a mixing engineer. And so I know that Ronnie has worked for me before on some of these things. So I sent it to Nashville to an engineer to mix. And then he gave me a mix that was not mastered. So I did the mastering of myself with my own mastering tools. And voila, I have the production done. And that's basically the the way I produced it. Starting with bringing the song down, the version that I liked, I brought it down from YouTube. I put it into Logic. I want to make very clear here that I did not use anything from that. I'm only using that as a reference, as a guide. And so I stem split it so that I could get the vocals by themselves and I could get the drums by themselves. And then I could play the bass, and I added some percussion in, and then I could play the bass and get it ready to send to drums, and then get it ready to send to piano, and then get it ready to send to vocals, and then get it ready to send to mix. And so that was kind of the way it went. Love of the Fishing Rod says, are you discovering new methods as you create music? Well, of course, we're all discovering new methods of production all the time. And I think stem splitting is something I'm using way more than I thought I would. I use it a lot of times when people send me demos, clients, and they don't know how to do a vocal by itself and give me a scratch vocal. Well, it's okay, because they can just sing along with their phone, and I can then get that recording, put it in Stem Splitter, and get their vocal out of it, and I have a scratch vocal, just like that. So I also use AI vocal programs to sing a song, put it into a girl's voice, and then use that as a scratch vocal when we are working on the track. So many uses. So absolutely discovering new things. That's the production side. We've gotten it mixed, we've gotten it mastered. Now it's time to release it. And this, my friends, is where, I'm not going to say the trouble started, but I'm going to say this is where some drama started. I might as well just get into this. This whole thing, this whole video that you're watching started out as a podcast originally called Releasing a Cover Song with CDBaby versus DistroKid. As a matter of fact, you can see it right here on my script here. I started this whole thing in February. I had finished the song, and this is the whole script I was going to use. This is going to be the intro, you know. So I'm going to read you the old intro. So I started this whole thing in February once I finished the song, and I was ready to release it. I have several jazz songs right now I'm working on, and I decided to release it out to streaming, these cover songs. And there's a whole video about this. Actually, you're watching this video now, that I'll have soon detailing the whole process. I usually use DistroKid. I always use DistroKid just because I think it works the best. But since DistroKid adds a yearly charge, which I hate when they do yearly charges, when they add a yearly charge to release cover songs, and I don't care for those charges, I decided to try the process through CDBaby. But I should have known from the last time, and I have another video on this channel about releasing a classical album through CDBaby and how long it took and what a nightmare that was. But I paid $9.99 to release the song through CDBaby on February 28th. Today is April 4th, by the way. By March 20th, after moving my date twice with CDBaby, so I'd have a week or two to promote it, because, you know, I wanted to send it and promote it through Spotify for Artists. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I wanted to have time to promote it. Well, I finally just pulled it, even though I paid $20 to license the song at Easy Song Licensing. And so that basically took a month of my time. I was going to release this a month ago. I think my original release date was, I don't even know when it was, March something. And I had to pull it back, and I decided I was just going to have to eat the cost. I'm actually trying to get my money back from CDBaby because I'm not releasing the song. And I'm going to have to eat the licensing cost at Easy Song, which is fine. So I started the whole process again with DistroKid on March 21st. And this was the third day I had wanted to release the song in the first place, was March 25th. I was hoping to release it early in March, or at least mid-March. But I tell you, CDBaby folks, and this is a bit of a rant time with CDBaby, and let me know your thoughts, but something happened to CDBaby over the past few years, and It's not necessarily a problem with original songs, probably, but I feel like, and there's this whole new thing they have that is an extra $20 that puts you at the front of the line and all this stuff, which I refuse to pay. I was trying to get away from paying DistroKid an extra fee. I wasn't going to pay CDBaby another fee. And this is where, I kind of feel DistroKid has at least the lock on CDBaby. Now, I know a lot of you watching this are going to leave me comments and chat comments about other distributors. That's fine. I'm not going to be talking about that today. But I feel like something is happening at CDBaby. I think that, I know that they let a lot of their support staff go. You can't get a hold of anybody. You have to talk to an AI chatbot for support and then read old things that they have as far as support articles. And why is it still called CDBaby? They haven't sold CDs for 3 or 4 years now, maybe longer, maybe 5 or 6 years. They stopped they shut down their CD side, and they should, because CDs quit selling. But why are they still called CDBaby? It doesn't even make any sense. And their services are getting old in the tooth. Their podcast kind of took a downturn after the two main guys left it and went to work for another company. I can't remember who they went to work for. But something is happening there. And that was going to be the pre-logo thing I was going to say. And why is this called CDBaby? And then it was going to go to the logo. But anyway, that's enough about that. But let me tell you what happened after I dumped CDBaby and went to DistroKid. DistroKid came back to me and said it's going to take a few days to do the cover licensing. Within a week, they had done the cover licensing and were ready to go on the go date, which was today, April 4th. And I was able then to go and do my Spotify to artist pitch. And this is where you pitch your song to editorial playlist, which editorial playlist just means the playlist on Spotify. And so I did that. I haven't heard anything back if I'm in any playlist or not. But it also puts you on something called Release Radar. So anybody who is listening to Player A on Spotify, and there are a lot of people following Player A. So I've got 1,241 monthly listeners. I don't know how many of those people are subscribers or followers, but the followers should get it on their release radar. It was on my release radar today, which makes sense. But again, that's what I wanted. And so I made sure that it was on release radar. It also could be on Spotify radio. We'll see after today and after it gets into the system of Spotify, how many people start listening. And I'll be able to show you some stats from Spotify for Artists. And we can get stats out the wazoo for that, and for Apple Music, and for Amazon Music, and for YouTube, and all those kind of, all the places. I started doing some reels. I especially started doing some reels and some YouTube stuff when I watched the end of the season 2 of Severance. I don't know if you know the show Severance, but it's on Apple TV. In the last episode of the season, they had this song. I was like, it was a very shocking episode, as both of their season enders have been. But at the very end, since this song is all talking about, the windmills of your mind and tunnels and all this kind of stuff, the lyrics are crazy. And I've got a lyric video that I'm working on that is very AI inspired as far as visually. But I did a video for this song basically because I watched the end of that show. And be careful, this is a bit of spoiler alert here, but this is scenes from the last episode of Severance. And I did a whole kind of Windmills of Your Mind cover version, but I used the visuals that are crazy anyway from Severance, and they kind of go really well with the song. And so that was something I did early. And you jump on these things because you never know when something is going to hit like this. So did that, and that's another one of the things. If we go back to the list here, one of the things that I did. First, I did the cover, this cover here. I did this with AI, with something called Leonardo.ai. The song lyrics of this just lend themselves to AI visuals. So I worked for a few nights really working on a lot of different versions of this cover, and I might use some different versions. I'm also going to do an instrumental version of this, I think, but I did the Easy Song licensing before I sent it up. I did the emergency severance cut video that you just saw. I did the CDBaby for a March 14th release. Well, that didn't work. So I crossed that out and I went to DistroKid. DistroKid saved the day. This isn't a DistroKid commercial video, but let me tell you something about DistroKid, my friends. I had a client that I was supposed to put out the song last week for a Monday release. We were going to do a Friday release, but he decided put it up as soon as you can. Well, I did not get it done last week, and so Monday I realized I had to get it done. So I put it up on Monday morning onto DistroKid. Ladies and gentlemen, his single was up Monday afternoon on Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon. I think it took till the next day till it got on Spotify. It might have been on Spotify that night. I didn't really look at it again that night. But from the morning of 9, 10 o'clock in the afternoon, it was up on the services because I told it I wanted it up today. That's how fast DistroKid is versus waiting weeks for them to even tell me if the song was going to be released on CDBaby. Don't get me started. And this is where we start to get into more things having to do with marketing. John C. says, I just closed my CDBaby account. I have to keep mine because I still make some money from my older albums. Some of these Player A jazz albums are still in there. Lovely Fishing Rod says, I always have to change something when I distribute through CDBaby. There's always an issue with either artwork or the audio. Yeah, and you got to pull it down, put it up, pull it down, put it up. It's kind of nuts. Sound Legend says, the only reason I've had so far with CDBaby is Content ID not registering for my visualizers for a few songs. No other issues aside for that. I think with, again, some of the things that I've been trying to do through CDBaby lately have been somewhat complicated. I was really focused with a classical album on getting it to Apple Classical. And so that took a little bit to get everything just, you have to get everything just right with classical music. And then this time I was doing a cover. But, I got the song licensed in 2 days through Easy Song. And then it took 3 weeks I waited for CDBaby to post the song, and it just did not happen. Sound Legend says, very surprising to hear there are issues going on with others. As long as you follow their guidelines, I don't see where there would be a problem. Well, there is, especially when you're trying to do things other than just originals. I think there's problems. There's something happening with them. And this might just be like new. From what I understand, they fired a bunch of people at the end of the year last year. I haven't done any real investigation into it because I haven't had time. And the DistroKid release has just been flawless, And the other thing that you get with DistroKid, and this goes into the marketing phase of what we're going to talk about here, is you get the Hyperfollow for free, which is this. It's pretty basic. I mean, that you could do some things. They could do a little bit more, maybe let you do something in the background here, but the ability to go in and make all your links. I haven't put any kind of social links in here. You can do that. I have a tendency, as a matter of fact, I only put a little sample of the song here rather than the full song. So you have to go to Spotify, Apple, iTunes, YouTube Music, or whatever to play the whole song. But this gives people ways to share it. So when you share this with people, I use this as the landing page when I'm doing ads from Facebook and Instagram. There are better ones to use, but this is what I use to do that. But I love the Hyperfollow thing. CDBaby has something like this. It is called Listen Now or Hear Now. It's very good, but it's an extra cost. And I think it's like $3 a month or something like that, or something a year. And most people would say it's worth it. And it might be a little bit better looking than this one, but this is free, and you can go in and you can customize this and do anything you want to with it and manage the page and do changes to it, and you can go look at it. You can also see how many people have viewed it, and so I use this for all of my releases. I've been using the Hyperfollow thing, so I really, really, really like it, and I love that it's for free. So for me, it's an easy choice to use DistroKid, especially for speed. Wow. If you need to get stuff out fast, and I have some information about DistroKid below. I'll bring it up in the description a little higher, but you'll find it down there if you just scroll through the description, and there's discounts for you there to join DistroKid if you want to. So, marketing. Let's get back to our notes here and look at the notes for marketing. You know, I always talk about my list. I have a free do everything checklist, and I basically made my own do everything checklist for this album. All the things that I want to do, from the production of it, making the cover, licensing the song, doing a YouTube video, releasing it through DistroKid, doing a Crucial Music pitch. I pitched this to Crucial Music, and if you're wondering what Crucial Music is a music library that is non-exclusive, and that they also offer the ability to do covers, which is very different than most. I don't know if I know another library that lets you put covers up, exclusive or non-exclusive. Now you'll sometimes see briefs where they're looking for specific cover songs, and I want to think that this came from a brief for something, but I also just thought it would be cool to do and wanted to do it. And that was just the way I decided to do most music, to be honest with you. But I released it to Crucial. You can see all these things are checked off. I took when I did that Severance video, I did a bunch of shorts that I put up on Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, and YouTube Shorts. And I will be doing another video that I don't think I'm going to release Monday. I usually like to release a video the Monday after I release the song, but I don't think I'll have it done by then. But it's going to be kind of freaky and AI, but it's going to be a lyric video, and then I'll take that and I'll make shorts out of that. So I'll do these over again. I redid the Player A website. I actually was just in there today working on that. It even has the video that I did for Windmills of Your Mind that I made rather quickly, and you can see it's talking about the new single. I'll probably change this and put the new single cover and everything up there, but as you can tell, it's using the background for it. And I probably got to fix the store, because the store, I need to put it up here. So there's still work to do here, obviously. There's always work to be done to your original website, and this is where people go for information about us, information about the group, and I did do a little bit of changing to the bio. Then I did the Spotify for Artists, and if you don't know what Spotify for Artists is, you need to know about this. This is very important for marketing. This is what it looks like, and it gives you a lot of articles and stuff. This is Spotify for Artists, or artist.spotify.com. If you are on Spotify and you have stuff there, you can go in and trick out your site. You can look at your home, and it'll show you what your site looks like. If you look at your profile, you can choose what your newest song is there. You can do many things and trick out your little top background here, and you can also go in and add images, add your social media. You can go ahead and do your bio and add that in there. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do. And so it tells you what other people like of you. But the main thing it allows you to do is go to upcoming. And when you have upcoming songs, you can pitch your music to playlist editors. And you can get on release radar of everyone who follows you, which for this particular brand is okay. There's a good amount of followers and listeners. So it tells you how to do it. You need to do it 7 days before release date or more. And you can only pitch one song at a time. And then you'll get an email if your song gets picked for something like that. Now, there's something else that I did here in this particular thing, and I did a campaign, and we're going to see how that works. But I did what's called a marquee campaign, I believe. And you can do marquee campaigns, and you can pick any song that you want to, and you can promote inside Spotify. So I don't have any information about this. I just started it. You can see it's only spent 30 cents of its budget of $100 so far. So we'll see how this works, and if it turns out to be something that it's supposed to go till April 18th. So we'll see how it goes, and if it brings a lot of spins, and if this gets into other things. This is the first day. It just launched today. I really don't know what's going to happen. But in order to do all of this stuff, as far as the whole Spotify for Artists thing, you've got to be ready for all of these different things. You've got to be ready, with everything. Everything has to be done, and it has to be ready for release in DistroKid or whoever you're using, and it has to be scheduled already, and because it won't find that song in upcoming if it's not scheduled for release already. But once CDBaby or DistroKid or whoever you use says you're scheduled for release, probably 24 to 48 hours later, you'll see under this, if you have a Spotify for Artists account, which you have to go and get, you'll see in the upcoming releases, it'll have this release. It did just about a week ago. And then you go through some screens to talk about it and what genres is it and all that kind of stuff, and you do a little sales pitch on it. So that is Spotify for Artists. So I did that. Pretty much set up after that. CDBaby was a no-go. DistroKid was great. Hyperfollow is basically up after you put the song up. But the problem is with Hyperfollow is that you can't have it linked to anywhere until the day of release. So now people can see my Hyperfollow because it's out and it's done. If you go to Hyperfollow here, you'll see that I have all these things. These things eventually get added automatically on release day, but I sometimes will go in, like I didn't add Deezer. It added Deezer for me. So as new ones get added on, it adds it on to these. And you can go in and reorder these in any order you want if you're customizing it, and you can bring Spotify. I like to bring Spotify up to the top, and you can change this clip. You can go in and manage this clip, or you can turn this off so that they can't hear the song. Sometimes you don't want to give the song away. Sometimes you don't want them to hear it. You want to make them go to Spotify or Apple or someplace to listen. And so, but the Hyperfollow thing is up. And so that's what I did after when I woke up this morning. I made sure my Hyperfollow was good, and I sent it out to everybody I know all over the place. One thing I didn't put on here, I did go and put it on my composer site. I also put it on Facebook to all my Facebook personal page, to all my friends and family. I also sent it to the Player A Facebook page. I also put it up on LinkedIn. You just got to do everything. And if this sounds exhausting, it's only because it kind of is. On your release day, don't plan anything else. I had a doctor's appointment today that I had to run into, kind of a consult I had to go to. Everything's okay. But I had to go to this consult today right in the middle of releasing this single. Everything's out. I'm trying to get it out to everywhere and make sure everybody knows about it and get ready for this video. Don't plan anything on your day of release, because your day of release, you are wanting to put it out everywhere, high, low, everywhere. Oh, I also put it out on two other sites. I put it out on YouTube, both my this channel and also the Player A channel, and also the Hello Composers channel. All those channels, I put out a little note on to my community there about all those things. You're just trying to get any and all people watching on this first day. The first day is kind of important because then just like with any kind of algorithm, the algorithm catches it, and then the algorithm catches it and it starts showing it to more people and more people and more people. And that's what you want with all of this. That's pretty much where we are. And the last part of marketing that we are talking about really is this video right here. I've even got the video as a to-do thing to do. And there we are. Click. It's done. I've done the video. The next thing I'm going to be doing, and this is kind of funny, but I'm going to be doing an instrumental version. And I'm going to have Ron, who is the singer, his brother, Tom Hemby, is just a fantastic, amazing guitarist, jazz guitarist, but also just great guitarist all the way around. Played for everybody in the world. and I'm going to get him to do an instrumental version. So the vocal version will be by Ron Hemby, and the instrumental version will be by Tom Hemby. So that might be very cool. And then I'll release that as another single, probably with the vocals version as a B-side. So we'll do the waterfall type of thing. I'm also even looking, and see if anyone is interested in this, I'm considering having other people as a marketing tool, having you or anyone who's listening to this, if you're interested, take the stems of this song and remix it. So I would love to have an orchestrated mix. I'd love to have a beats mix. I'd love to have lots of different mixes and maybe put it all out as an album. If you're interested in that, give me a thumbs up and let me know. Email me at makemusicincome@gmail.com and say, hey, I'd like to remix your song. I would love for you to do it. And then I'll mix it and put it out as a remix album if we get enough remixes, because I'm going to be putting out other versions of this song. Now, I do have another single that we're going to start mixing on that is a female vocal single, and that will be coming out in hopefully in about a month. And I'll be going through this whole thing again. And I've got singles. Looks like I'm kind of in a cover kind of mood. I've got a bunch of covers that I want to do. So this may just become a whole EP or album of covers with this jazz group. But if you're interested in like remixing this, that is another thing that you can do with marketing, is get other people involved. You see this happen all the time on TikTok and on Instagram, where people they're telling people, hey, remix this, do different things with this video, add your own version, make your own dance or whatever. Please don't make a dance to this song. I won't be airing dances to this song. John C. says, is that checklist available for download? This particular one, no, but I do have another one, John. And if you go to the Make Music Income site, I do have a free ebook. If you go to free and you go down, you can see the Do Everything checklist. And the Do Everything checklist is a very similar type of checklist. It's a PDF file. And, you know, this one was a little personal to me just because of the way I was doing this. And really, I made to show everybody what I did. But you could take this and make your own checklist depending on the different things you want to do. But go get this. It's for free. And you can find it right at makemusicincome.com. All right, folks. Well, that's about all I want to say. All I want to ask, though, is that you do go back and maybe if you get a chance today, go listen to the Windmills of Your Mind. Listen to it all the way through. At least listen over 30 seconds so I get a stream. Tell some friends. If you have some jazz lover friends of yours or Sting lovers or people who like older songs, make sure that you send this out to them. And the link is right below in the description. The Hyperfollow, you can just send that to people and say, hey, you might enjoy this song. I heard this today. But that would really help. I would really appreciate it. Give this video a thumbs up. I appreciate you listening through this whole thing. I hope it's has been of some help to you today. And I hope that, like with all my videos, this helps you make the music that you love to make and make music income. Make sure you go to makemusicincome.com/free, and make sure also that you go up and get some of the stuff, the music release Sale-abration. If you are interested in saving some big money off some of our things, well, now's the time to get the Getting in Sync course for $49. It's usually $99. I haven't come off that price for a while. You can get both courses that I have for less than $49 each. Get them for $75. You can get the coaching call for $75. And let's talk on Zoom for an hour and talk about what you need to do, what you're trying to do. So those are certainly things that you can do. But yeah, absolutely pick that up, because that's not going to last long, because I'm going to probably cut that off at the end of this weekend. So thanks so much, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next time here on the Make Music Income podcast. Thank you for listening and watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.